Shadows crawl through Echo Vale as alien tech soldiers drag screaming captives into glowing fusion chambers. Hulk smashes through reinforced walls, while Thor's hammer tears a lightning path through the chaos. Superman hovers above, eyes burning with fury, as the first human-alien hybrid breaks free in a surge of raw power. The villains, Alien, Iron Man, and Rogue Transformers, realize their experiments have unleashed a force they cannot contain. Flames, shattered steel, and unstoppable heroes collide, signaling the start of a vengeance that will shake the Earth to its core. Lab of Horror Echo Vale. The fortress of Echo Vale towered over the barren wastelands like a jagged tooth scraping the sky, its steel-black walls humming with the pulse of alien technology. Inside, the air was thick with the metallic tang of blood and ozone, punctuated by the shrieks of tortured humans fused with circuits and alien implants. Alarms screamed in piercing rhythm, red lights bathing the cold hallways as mechanical guards scuttled like metal spiders, trying desperately to regain control. Sparks showered from overloaded machinery, and steam hissed from ruptured pipes, turning the lab into a chaotic furnace of smoke and light. At the center, a human figure convulsed on a steel table, veins glowing with alien energy. Wires and tubes ripped from its flesh as it struggled against the machines that had made it a hybrid of terror. Its scream echoed like a war cry, bouncing off the high ceilings of the laboratory. Alien scientists, tall, angular, and cruel, fiddled with glowing control panels, oblivious to the chaos unfolding outside. Iron Man, in a darkened armor variant, paced with methodical menace, fingers twitching as he calibrated laser arrays ready to incinerate anything in his path. Rogue Transformers clanked through corridors, their multi-jointed limbs snapping, scanning for threats with mechanical precision. Suddenly, the lab doors exploded inward. Hulk's roar shattered the din of alarms, a rolling thunder of pure rage. Concrete shattered beneath his fists, and the nearest mechanical guards were hurled across the room like ragdolls. Sparks erupted where his massive body collided with armored walls, sending shivers of panic through the alien scientists. Thor descended next, hammer raised high, lightning arcing across the lab like jagged rivers of fire. Each strike ignited circuits and set off chain reactions, sending clouds of burning steam and molten metal hissing into the air. From above, Superman tore through the reinforced ceiling, his red cape flaring like a comet. His eyes blazed with heat vision, cutting through the chaos with surgical precision, frying scanners, drones, and armored guards before they could react. His landing sent a shockwave across the laboratory floor, flipping tables and scattering cables like snakes. The hybrid on the table froze for a moment, staring at the heroes with wide, desperate eyes, a silent plea for freedom. With a thunderous roar, Hulk lifted the table and slammed it against the nearest wall, shattering the steel frame and sending sparks flying in every direction. The hybrid seized the moment, pulling free from the remaining tubes and wires, its body a grotesque fusion of human muscle and alien tech. It lunged toward the nearest exit, leaving a trail of broken glass and smoking machinery in its wake. Alien hissed through clenched jaws, signaling the Rogue Transformers to intercept, but Thor swung Mjolnir with godlike precision, smashing the first two mechanical beasts into molten puddles. Iron Man activated his repulsors, firing streaks of red energy that collided mid-air with Superman's heat vision. Sparks and molten fragments exploded around them, but neither hero faltered. Hulk roared again, tossing a transformer across the lab, sending it crashing through a wall. Thor's lightning struck the central fusion chamber, shattering it into 1,000 glittering shards as the hybrid stumbled free. The alarms redoubled their efforts, shrieking with frantic energy, but the hero's presence was absolute, unrelenting. The lab itself seemed to fight them. Automated turrets spun, launching plasma rounds and electrified nets, but each attack was met with devastating retaliation. Hulk caught a plasma net mid-flight and tore it apart with his bare hands. Thor's hammer became a cyclone of destruction, hammering machines into molten scrap. Superman sliced through mechanical minions with precision, each heat vision beam cutting a path of light through smoke and chaos. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the scent of burning metal and ozone filled every corner. The hybrid finally made it to a service shaft, sliding down as Rogue Transformers tried to block the exit. Hulk slammed his shoulder into the nearest robot, sending it tumbling. Thor summoned lightning once more, opening a temporary breach in the reinforced shaft, giving the hybrid just enough room to escape. Superman hovered nearby, eye-scanning the corridors, blasting guards and drones with precise bursts of heat. Alien's voice boomed through intercoms, a mixture of rage and disbelief as their perfect experiments were falling apart before their eyes. The heroes pressed forward relentlessly. Every corner was a battle. Metal limbs were ripped from rogue transformers, circuits fried in molten showers, and armored guards were hurled across the lab in displays of raw power. Thor's hammer struck in arcs of electric brilliance, each blow leaving craters in the reinforced floors. Hulk's fist shattered walls, sending glass and debris raining down. Superman's speed allowed him to intercept threats before they could harm the hybrid, moving in bursts that blurred the line between flight and strike. Amid the chaos, the hybrid paused, turning its alien-fused face toward its rescuers. Something human lingered in its eyes. Terror, yes, but also a spark of gratitude, a silent promise that the fight was not over. It ran ahead, slipping through corridors, guided by the heroes' relentless advance. Iron Man activated hidden defense protocols, sealing doors and unleashing drone swarms, but each barrier was smashed or incinerated as the heroes surged forward like unstoppable forces of nature. The lab erupted in a final, violent crescendo. Explosions tore through corridors, sending sparks and shards flying like deadly rain. Machines overloaded and imploded in showers of molten metal. The hybrid reached the outer chamber, and with Hulk smashing the last automated gate and Thor calling lightning to supercharge the power grid, it finally broke free into the open air. Superman hovered above, wings of heat vision blazing, ensuring no escape route was left unguarded for the villains. Outside, the barren wasteland stretched like a silent witness to the chaos. The hybrid staggered but stood tall, scarred and glowing with alien energy, as the heroes closed in around it. The fortress of Echo Vale shuddered violently, alarms still screaming, metal groaning under the strain of destruction. Alien, Iron Man, and Rogue Transformers realized that their empire had been breached, their perfect experiments unleashed prematurely. Fear flickered across their faces, or what passed for faces in the synthetic alien constructs, and for the first time, they knew the heroes were coming for more than just one lab. They were coming for the Empire itself. Hulk roared. Thor summoned a final arc of lightning to cripple the remaining defenses, and Superman hovered with a calm yet burning intensity, eyes fixed on the horizon. The hybrid looked at its rescuers, and in that moment, a silent vow was exchanged. The vengeance for the tortured, the destroyed, and the enslaved had begun. Echo Vale had fallen, but the war, the unstoppable march of heroes against the villain empire, was only just beginning. City on fire. The skyline of the villain-controlled city stretched like a jagged crown, smoke curling from factories and skyscrapers that had once gleamed with technological pride. Now the streets were battlegrounds, scarred by explosions, scorched asphalt, and the twisted remains of rogue transformers. The citizens, huddled in alleys and shadowed corners, peeked out at the chaos with a mixture of fear and hope, the first real sign that heroes had returned. Superman streaked across the sky, cutting through the dark clouds that had long blotted out sunlight, eyes glowing as he scanned the city for threats. Below, Hulk barreled through streets like an unstoppable juggernaut, overturning armored convoys and crushing enemy vehicles beneath his massive fists. Thor rode the storm clouds, Mjolnir spinning, summoning lightning strikes that split the skyline and ignited the air. The city itself seemed alive with tension, trembling under the relentless assault of the heroes. In the industrial sector, Iron Man deployed his most advanced drones, each equipped with cutting-edge weapons and reinforced shields. Transformers marched in formation, their metal limbs clanking in unison, a mechanical army ready to slaughter anyone in their path. But each attack was met with fury. Hulk's roar shook the ground as he smashed through drone formations, sending sparks and shattered circuitry raining down. Thor's hammer arced in a symphony of lightning, disintegrating machines with precise, godlike strikes. Superman darted from rooftop to rooftop, using his super speed and heat vision to cut off ambushes before they could form. The hybrid survivor moved with them, a grotesque but awe-inspiring figure, half human and half alien tech, emitting pulses of energy that destabilized enemy circuits. Its presence drew both fear and awe from the citizens. Some watched in disbelief as the heroes carved a path of vengeance through the villain streets. "For Echo Vale," the hybrid shouted, the words amplified by some internal energy, a rallying cry that sparked hope and rebellion. The villains were not idle. Alien deployed energy cannons from rooftops, targeting civilians to draw the heroes into traps. Iron Man flew above in a deadly dance of aerial assault, firing precision lasers that shattered walls and ignited fires. Rogue Transformers emerged from underground tunnels, ambushing from behind debris and creating crossfires of death. But the heroes' coordination was flawless. Thor's lightning tore down the power lines that fueled enemy turrets. Hulk ripped entire streets apart to block reinforcements, and Superman struck from above with pinpoint destruction. Explosions rocked entire city blocks. Flames consumed factories and vehicles, smoke rolling over the skyline like a dark tide. The citizens watched as armored convoys were thrown into craters. Drones shattered mid-air, and mechanical warriors dismembered in seconds. Fear spread among the villains' ranks. Their perfect city was crumbling under the unrelenting force of vengeance incarnate. Everywhere, the heroes' presence inspired resistance. Citizens armed themselves with whatever they could find: pipes, makeshift weapons, even hacked drones, joining the uprising that erupted like wildfire through the streets. A massive transformer lumbered into the central square, its optics glowing red as it scanned for targets. Hulk charged, slamming his fists against the ground to create shock waves that knocked the machine off balance. Thor called lightning from above, each strike puncturing the transformer's armored joints. Superman fired his heat vision directly into its chest, molten metal dripping as the mechanical giant staggered. The hybrid surged forward, energy pulses tearing at the machine's internal circuits until it collapsed in a shower of sparks and metal fragments. Above, Iron Man deployed a swarm of drones, attempting to flank the heroes. Superman shot into the sky, intercepting them at lightning speed, while Thor unleashed another thunderclap that electrocuted nearby machines. Hulk's fist sent the remaining drones crashing into walls and debris. The villains' forces were faltering under the combined might of these unstoppable warriors, their coordination unraveling with every loss. In the business district, skyscrapers cracked and groaned under the onslaught. Thor used Mjolnir to collapse a bridge, cutting off reinforcements and sealing enemy escape routes. Hulk tore through armored vehicles like paper, his rage echoing through the canyons of steel and glass. Superman, faster than the eye could follow, dismantled weapon emplacements, saving trapped civilians and clearing the way for the hybrid to advance. Each moment was a blur of light, fire, metal, and raw power. Cinematic destruction played out on a scale that seemed almost unreal. The villain trio regrouped atop the tallest tower. Alien's eyes glowed with rage. Iron Man recalibrated his weapons, and Rogue Transformers ready to counterstrike. But fear had already begun to seep in. The city, once their fortress, now thrummed with resistance, a living testament to the heroes' impact. Citizens shouted from rooftops, cheering as Hulk threw armored convoys into flames. Thor's lightning lit the night sky, and Superman tore through drone swarms. The hero's path of vengeance was unstoppable, and every corner of the city felt it. As Part 2 reached its climax, a massive explosion ripped through the villain's central power station. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the city plunged into partial darkness. Citizens fled in both terror and exhilaration, witnessing the first real cracks in the villain empire. The hybrid survivor stood amidst the chaos, energy crackling across its body, looking to the heroes for guidance. Hulk roared. Thor's lightning lit the sky like a second sun, and Superman hovered above, a silent warning to any who dared challenge them next. The city was on fire, but this was only the beginning. Every villain who survived knew it. The heroes were coming for the heart of the Empire, and when they did, no fortress, no army, no weapon could withstand the wrath of Superman, Hulk, Thor, and the hybrid who had survived the horrors of Echo Vale. The first chapter of vengeance was complete, but the war had only just begun. Vengeance March. The ruins of the city still smoked under the dawn sky, but the heroes' march was unstoppable. Streets that had once been silent under villain rule now trembled with the steps of Hulk, the lightning crackle of Thor, and the glowing fury of Superman. The hybrid survivor, a living monument of alien technology, fused with human resolve, surged beside them, pulses of energy radiating from its body with every stride. Every footfall shook the ground. Every motion sparked fear into the hearts of the villain empire. Industrial factories, once humming with robotic production, lay in smoldering ruin. Rogue transformers scrambled to assemble reinforcements, but Hulk tore through them with unrelenting strength, tossing armored limbs into shattered buildings like toys. Thor's hammer smashed through cranes and scaffolds, sending sparks into the air as lightning cascaded from his strike. Superman darted from rooftop to rooftop, intercepting missiles and drones with blinding speed, leaving trails of molten streaks that marked the villains' retreat. The city was no longer a playground for the villains. It had become a war zone under the heroes' relentless assault. The hybrid's energy pulses destabilized enemy systems. A transformer squadron approached, sensors blinking red, but a single surge from the hybrid short-circuited their central command, causing them to collapse in twisted heaps of metal. Civilians cautiously emerged from hiding, emboldened by the hero's presence. Some cheered, others armed themselves, joining the rebellion in a surge of raw courage inspired by the unstoppable trio. Each act of defiance, each reclaimed street, added fuel to the march of vengeance. In the industrial district, Iron Man attempted a counteroffensive. He deployed a fleet of drones, laser turrets, and EMP devices designed to incapacitate the heroes. But coordination between Hulk, Thor, and Superman was flawless. Hulk barreled through the drones, turning them into molten scrap beneath his fists. Thor's lightning arcs disabled the turrets, sending them exploding into showers of sparks and flame. Superman intercepted Iron Man mid-flight, tearing through armor and firing heat vision to carve paths through reinforced barriers. Each attack was met with a perfect blend of brute force, divine power, and precision. The hybrid moved forward with growing confidence, hurling energy blasts that ripped apart walls and shredded mechanical soldiers. Alien tech constructs collapsed around it, sparks and smoke filling the air. Hulk smashed through conveyor belts and assembly lines, cutting off reinforcements. Thor's hammer struck like a thunderbolt, disintegrating robotic soldiers mid-stride. Superman's presence ensured no civilians were harmed, guiding the hybrid and rallying them to push further. The villains' propaganda towers were next. Once symbols of dominance, they now burned under the fury of heroes. Alien deployed his energy cannons from high perches, aiming to crush streets below. But Thor's lightning cleaved the towers, sending fiery debris cascading down. Hulk tossed a rogue transformer into the tower's base, toppling it in a massive explosion. Superman's heat vision cut through enemy drones, a glowing comet streaking across the cityscape. Every corner the heroes touched became a testament to unstoppable power. The march took them into the industrial maze, where rogue transformers ambushed from above and below. Hulk slammed the ground with earth-shattering force, sending shockwaves that knocked mechanical attackers off balance. Thor's hammer became a whirlwind of destruction, each swing dismembering enemies with electric precision. Superman struck from above, a streak of burning light, dismantling weapon caches and scattering soldiers. The hybrid's energy pulses created an electromagnetic storm, frying circuits and shorting systems with devastating effect. As the day progressed, fear began to ripple through the villain empire. Workers who had once been mindlessly loyal hesitated, armed guards faltered, and rogue transformers malfunctioned under stress. The villains' once unshakable confidence cracked as the heroes' unstoppable march left destruction and hope in equal measure. Every street taken, every enemy defeated, every citizen inspired marked a step closer to the Empire's heart. At sunset, the heroes reached the central district, the beating heart of villain power. Factories, skyscrapers, and propaganda towers burned in a haze of smoke, the city itself alive with the chaos of war. Hulk roared, Thor's hammer sparked against the sky, and Superman hovered above, glowing with intensity that could be seen for miles. The hybrid stood beside them, pulsing with alien energy, a living bridge between human resilience and technological terror. The villains, Alien, Iron Man, and Rogue Transformers, watched from the safety of their last stronghold. Panic and disbelief etched across their faces. They realized their empire was unraveling. Their forces were broken, the city reclaimed block by block, and the heroes' vengeance was far from complete. This march through the streets was more than a campaign. It was a statement. The heroes would not rest, the villains would not survive, and every corner of the empire would feel their wrath. As night fell, the city glowed in a mixture of firelight and electric sparks, streets still littered with wreckage, but alive with a sense of hope. The hybrid looked to the trio, determination blazing through alien-enhanced eyes. Hulk's roar echoed across the city. Thor's hammer hummed with residual lightning, and Superman's gaze pierced the darkness, a silent promise that the march of vengeance would continue until the villain's empire was no more. The vengeance march had begun, and the heroes would not stop until every corner of the city was free, and every villain faced their reckoning. Siege of the Throne Room. The fortress loomed ahead, colossal and jagged, a steel heart pumping fear through the remnants of the villain empire. The streets leading to it were littered with debris, shattered transformers, and smoldering wreckage, a gauntlet of destruction marking the heroes' unstoppable approach. Hulk's fists beat against the pavement with seismic force. Thor's hammer hummed with lightning, and Superman hovered above, a blazing beacon against the dark fortress. The hybrid surged at their side, energy pulses tearing apart remaining surveillance systems. Inside the fortress, alarms blared as Alien, Iron Man, and Rogue Transformers scrambled. Defense turrets rotated, firing streams of plasma that screamed through the halls, but the heroes moved as one unstoppable wave. Hulk smashed through the first barricade, steel groaning under his grip, sending Transformers crashing into walls. Thor's lightning arced across corridors, short-circuiting machines and igniting ammunition caches in brilliant flashes of fire. Superman's heat vision cut swaths through automated defenses, a burning comet of pure focus and rage. The hybrid led the charge deeper, tearing through reinforced doors and laser grids. Its energy pulses overloaded circuits, causing drones to collapse mid-flight. Guards and cybernetic soldiers scrambled, but fear had already begun to infect their ranks. Each step of the heroes pressed them back, turning once confident enforcers into fleeing shadows. The fortress itself seemed to shudder, as if aware of the inevitable collapse within its walls. Iron Man tried to regroup, deploying a swarm of drones in coordinated strikes, while Rogue Transformers blocked hallways and stairwells. Alien moved strategically, firing energy blasts and activating traps. But the heroes were relentless. Hulk tore through Transformers with a roar, pulverizing metal like paper. Thor's hammer smashed drones and defense arrays into molten scrap, lightning splintering walls. Superman, faster than the eye could follow, dismantled Iron Man's offensive mid-air, each strike precise, leaving nothing intact. As they reached the throne room, the air thickened with tension. The room was vast, its ceiling lost in shadows, with steel pillars supporting a platform where the supreme villain awaited. Alien stood at the center, Iron Man hovering beside him, Rogue Transformers forming a defensive perimeter. The throne room was a cathedral of chaos. Molten metal pooled around the edges, sparks flew from damaged machinery, and flickering lights cast long, jagged shadows. Hulk smashed the first line of defense, sending Rogue Transformers flying. Thor called down a lightning storm that cracked through the ceiling, sending metal debris raining onto the enemies below. Superman streaked through the room, disarming drones and clearing paths with blazing heat vision. The hybrid surged forward, pulsing energy that short-circuited all remaining robotic soldiers, leaving only the supreme villains standing. Alien's eyes glowed with fury as he unleashed a concentrated energy blast, but Hulk leapt through it, fists raised to strike. Thor swung Mjolnir in a massive arc, shattering the floor beneath Alien's feet and sending him stumbling. Superman fired a precise heat vision strike, cutting through Iron Man's defenses and forcing him to retreat. The throne room shook with each clash, every strike echoing like thunder, every movement leaving sparks and debris in its wake. The supreme villains realized too late. Their fortress, their weapons, their empire, all were failing. The heroes pressed on relentlessly, unstoppable. Each one a force of nature in perfect coordination. The hybrid pulsed with alien energy, reinforcing their assault, a living bridge between humanity and unstoppable power. The throne room, once a symbol of villain dominion, was collapsing under the heroes' wrath, and the villains knew that their final stand was imminent. But so far, nothing could stop the relentless march of vengeance. War's dawn. The throne room was a storm of fire, molten metal, and shattered steel. Hulk's roar shook the walls. Thor's lightning split the shadows, and Superman hovered above, eyes blazing with cosmic fury. The hybrid pulsed with alien energy, surging forward like a living missile. Alien, Iron Man, and Rogue Transformers faced the unstoppable heroes, their expressions a mix of rage, panic, and disbelief. Their empire had crumbled beneath the march of vengeance, and now the final reckoning had begun. Alien unleashed a concentrated energy blast, a searing torrent of crimson light. Hulk leapt through it, fist smashing into the villain's chest with bone-crushing force. Thor swung Mjolnir in a thunderous arc, lightning igniting the floor and sending sparks and molten steel flying. Superman fired heat vision from multiple angles, slicing through Iron Man's defenses and cutting a path straight to the villains. Every strike was precise, every movement lethal, leaving the throne room a cathedral of chaos. The hybrid surged, energy pulses tearing apart the Rogue Transformers' last line of defense. Sparks, flames, and shattered circuits filled the air, the metallic smell of destruction blending with the ozone from Thor's lightning. Alien staggered, Iron Man faltered, and the Rogue Transformers fell, their systems fried by unstoppable force. For a moment, the villain's empire teetered on the edge of annihilation. Then the supreme villain, Alien, rose from the debris, eyes glowing with a sinister calm. A portal of alien energy tore open behind him, a swirling vortex of unknown power. His voice, amplified and cold, echoed through the collapsing throne room. "This is not the end. You may have destroyed my empire, but the war has only begun." A wave of energy radiated outward, knocking the heroes back, but failing to stop their advance. Hulk roared in defiance, smashing the floor beneath the portal, sending molten steel cascading into the swirling vortex. Thor slammed Mjolnir into the ground, calling down a bolt of lightning that struck the portal's edge, destabilizing it momentarily. Superman soared forward, fists blazing, trying to intercept the villain as he began to vanish. The hybrid unleashed its final surge of energy, a radiant pulse that shredded the throne room's remaining defenses. For a brief, heart-stopping moment, it seemed the villain would be stopped, but Alien's form flickered, shifting into a shadowed silhouette, disappearing into the swirling vortex with a chilling laugh that echoed through the shattered fortress. The portal slammed shut, leaving the heroes standing amidst ruins, the throne room in flames, and the villain gone, but the threat unmistakable. The city outside burned, streets littered with rubble, yet the citizens emerged cautiously, emboldened by the heroes' victory. Hulk, Thor, Superman, and the hybrid stood together, battered but unbowed, their eyes scanning the horizon. They had crushed the villain's empire, liberated the city, and exacted vengeance, but the war was far from over. A single question hung in the air, heavy and electric. What greater force awaited beyond the portal? And somewhere unseen, Alien's eyes glowed once more, promising that the next battle would be bigger, deadlier, and unstoppable. The heroes had won the day, but the dawn of a new war had just begun.